Once upon a time. Welcome to Australian Book Lovers, your destination for imagination.
So a big warm welcome to everyone, and thank you, an absolutely huge thank you for joining us for this really special Australian Book Lovers podcast, Readers Are Writers online workshop with the fabulous Dr. Rachel Matthews. In case you don't know, I'm Veronica Strachan, aka VE Patton. That's one of my nom de plumes, as many of you on the podcast also have. And I am a science fiction, fantasy, memoir, and picture book writer, founder and co-host for your session tonight, coming to you unusually from the lands of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation up in New South Wales. It's a little bit chilly, not nice as Macedon Ranges, but anyway, there we go.
Well, I can tell you, Veronica, it was 1 degree here this morning in in Melbourne, so you are lucky to have escaped to Sydney. And a big warm welcome. I'm Laurie Bell, a science fiction and fantasy author, Friday fictioneer, reader, blogger, short story, flash fiction writer, and your co-host today. So, and I'm coming to you from Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung country.
Beautiful. So yes, while we're getting out of this slide and getting ready to introduce our fabulous guest facilitator, could everybody put in who the traditional, in the chat, put in who the traditional owners are of the land where you are today, if you know. Now let's have a look. Yep. Because what we'd love to do is to pay our respects to elders past and present, and to emerging leaders from all of the Indigenous people who are with us either tonight or who, of course, been telling stories for thousands of years. Oh, and one more person coming in. I'll just admit that person. And I can see someone's leaving their camera up while they eat their dinner. Lovely. Someone's on Yuin country, Darra country, far western Sydney. You're going to tell me Sydney is better. Lovely. Ngunnawal and Ngambri, beautiful. So we've got some people from Canberra. And yeah, this is looking good. Jajawarang, local up near where I belong, which is usually Woiwurrung, Jajawarang country up there. Beautiful.
I clicked a few things and it told me that I was leaving the meeting.
Oh no, don't leave the meeting, Meryl.
Can you?
I'm just going to pop you on mute. All right. Good evening, everybody. Lovely to see your faces.
Yes.
I know that there's Hayley. Hello, Hayley. Good to see you there. Give us a wave. Beautiful. All right. If you could pop your cameras on, it's lovely to see your faces, and I know that online is a little bit tricky, but we're now going to introduce to you our very special facilitator, Dr. Rachel Matthews. Wave again, Rachel, thank you. Okay, and Laurie's going to read a little bio, and I'm going to hold up Rachel's latest book.
Tell you all about Rachel Matthews. So Rachel is the Melbourne author of Never Look Desperate, reviewed in The Guardian and the Weekend Australian's best.
Good on you.
Did I miss something?
We had more copies. We had more copies of the book.
Oh, even better. That's wonderful. Reviewed in The Guardian and the Weekend Australian's best new Australian fiction for 2023. Never Look Desperate is her third work of adult fiction. Vinyl Inside, her debut novel, was highly commended in the Vogel Awards, and Siren, her second novel, were part of a PhD examining sexual violence in Australian football culture and received strong press reviews nationwide. On radio and TV, she's had some interesting and fun conversations about challenging the stereotypes of love and intimacy in later life. She is also a lecturer at RMIT and ACU universities. Her workshops in bookshops and libraries, Readers Are Writers, which is what we're getting to do tonight, are a fun space that cater for everyone. She's been enjoying these in the Melbourne and regional areas, and in early May, so just past, was presenting to students at Sydney University. And you can find Rachel on rachelmatthewsauthor.com. And thank you for coming, Rachel.
Yes. All yours, Rachel.
Yes, take it away.
Okay, welcome everybody. Thank you for that really lovely introduction from Veronica and Laurie, I want to say that Australian book lovers play a really important role in supporting Australian authors, readers, and the broader community, which is, I think, a really precious space. And it's lovely to meet you all. I can see there are people from New South Wales, I think maybe WA. We've got people from all walks of life and all backgrounds. And the reason that we're here is because we all love storytelling. And the reason that I hope you have joined us is because you would like to dip your toe in and to do some writing tonight, because I believe, my strong belief is that people who read know a lot about stories. And sometimes we maybe haven't had the chance to explore that ourselves in our own writing. And welcome to you all. So I'm just going to pull up some slides. I will turn them on and off because I like to also see your faces. And let's have this, let's make this a really interactive session. So if you want to make comments in the chat, I know Veronica and Laurie will be able to keep an eye on that as well in case I miss something. We'll be having some small tasks. This is a completely relaxed environment. If you are willing to share in the chat box or with your microphone, that would be lovely. But if you're preferring just to sort of listen in, I completely understand that sometimes that's more comfortable. So I'm just going into our first visual. The visual that I'm using on the top left, which is the figure, and she is made up of words, you know, her whole body is made up of words and stories. And I don't know about you, but I sort of sometimes feel like that myself as a person who, you know, enjoys stories and so on. And I also, oh, sorry, folks, I'll just go back to my screen. Sorry, we'll do that again. Okay, let's go back. Apologies to where we were. Okay, that's better. And just for a bit of a warm up, again, in the chat, if you could just put in the chat box where you are from, because I was really curious before about what was happening on screen there, just so we can get a sense of the diversity. That would be wonderful. So Nicola, you're from beautiful Cockatoo, and of course the Wurundjeri people. Rhonda's from Creswick. Welcome, Rhonda. Lindsay's from Tura Beach. That sounds gorgeous. Anne's in Melbourne. Melissa's in Canberra. Susan's in Bunurong. All these gorgeous places. Hayley's in Penrith, Western Sydney. Rosemary's in Kilsyth. Rosemary's in 2 places. How is that working?
I feel like that all the time.
Rosemary's got a superhero cape.
Yes, and Tura Beach in the far south coast of New South Wales.
Oh, gorgeous. Okay.
Trentham. Lots of people from my local area. Fabulous.
Yes. And a few of us from chilly Melbourne, you know. So I guess the thing is that storytelling is something that's kind of universal, isn't it? And to extend from our lovely acknowledgement of country, I thought it might be nice tonight if we could start off by looking at a very beautiful poem by a First Nations writer called Curly Saunders. And I just wondered, this poem is called Mother. I wondered if anybody would be willing to read this out for us, if you were comfortable using your microphone. Otherwise, I'll ask Veronica or Laurie. My standbys. No? Rosemary, would you do us the honour? Thank you so much.
Okay. Mother, I've spent hours now searching for myself in the symmetry of your skin, in the blues and greens of your depths. I watch the sand dance to your tides and see the tannins like tea tessellate upon your earthy limbs. I find my feet in the footholds of our people long gone now, and I know that this is where I belong.
Thank you, Rosemary. That was a beautiful reading. What I love about poetry and what I love about First Nations poetry and storytelling is that it has a timeless resonance. It means something to all of us. And also, I love this writing because it's very heartfelt and it's very accessible. And tonight we're going to talk about how important it is for all of us to be writing out about people and places and memories that mean something to us. Would anyone just like to make a general comment before we get into our activities? Would anyone like to just make a comment about anything in this that really reaches out to you in some way? You're welcome to use the chat box if that's more comfortable.
I loved the tessellation upon the earthly limbs, watch the sand dance to your tides and see the tannins like tea, and that it's really interesting because it's a really still image and yet it conjures up movement at the same time. Tessellations are really, really kind of, they're full of movement at the same time, aren't they?
Yes, Nicola, thank you. That's a really astute observation. There's something that's very alive about this language. And I think when we write about things that are close to us, the language has a certain electricity about it because it's coming from, deep inside us. And just something to think about tonight as we move into looking at stories. Now I'm going to skip my my photo that looks like I've had Botox, which I haven't, I promise. Knowing me to go wrong.
No judgment here. Right.
I know I just end up, looking like I was alarmed for 24 hours. So I think, I deeply believe this, that readers hold this wisdom, like a quiet wisdom, like an inner wisdom about stories. And I am reaching out to all of you tonight as readers, as people who may also write, to find that within yourselves. Some of the best writing that I ever see in my classrooms at RMIT and ACU, the best stories, the most engaging stories, are from people who may not have necessarily had a lot of formal training or education around writing, but they write from their guts, from their heart. They write about the things that really matter to them. And I think there's something in that. So what are we going to do tonight? Now, by the way, I just love this image. So I did a search the other night I said it was women creating. And I found this beautiful woman and she's using an ink and a quill pen. And I thought, how gorgeous. But tonight, we're going to talk about how do we start this process? We're going to reflect on the joy of this process. We're going to listen to each other. We will have a short break because I think we might need to get a cup of tea, or maybe you need a whiskey. I don't know. And there's no judgment again. And we're going to have interactions with each other. And we're going to have a lot of fun because I think we lose the fun sometimes when we spend a lot of time at work or looking after things that require a lot of concentration and so on. And why do we do this? So I love this quote by Joan Didion. Rosemary, would you like to read this out for us while I've got your camera?
Yeah. I write entirely to find out what I'm thinking, what I'm looking at, what I see and what it means, what I want and what I fear.
Thank you. Any comments about that in the chat or with your microphone?
I can certainly relate to that statement.
Okay. Yep. So it's one of the big things also in creating stories that engage the reader is vulnerability. And that means not just the vulnerability of our characters, but I think of ourselves. It means, are we willing to kind of open ourselves up And when that happens, it's quite a liberating process for both us and for our reader, but it can be terrifying, can't it, Rosemary? You know?
Oh, absolutely. I
Yeah.
can write things and then run away from them.
Yes, that's right. And why else do we do it? Sometimes we write to kind of understand things. I like to give a voice to people and to places that I don't feel have a voice. I like to challenge ideas. I like to have a bit of fun. There are, in my new novel, Never Look Desperate, there's some dates there that may or may not have been real experiences. And all I can say is that they should have known better. That's all I'm revealing. Sometimes we want to preserve things that are precious to us, like family history. Let's do a bit of a warm-up, just for a bit of fun. I want you to imagine your life as a novel. Give it a title. What would the genre be? Would it be erotic drama? Would it be crime romance? I'm not sure. Just take a few moments. We just want the title of your novel and the genre. And if you're brave enough, pop it in the chat box. Laugh until you cry, Melissa. Boss from hell.
That's all right. It's actually a book that I've written, but it wouldn't actually be the supernatural novel that I wrote.
You don't have to explain.
Yeah.
I've read it and it's fantastic, by the way.
Thank you, Hayley.
Right. Emmy, I'm sorry I missed your comment about your brother and your brother's poetry.
Hi, Rachel. Later, we met recently at the Society of the Writers Victoria.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, though, at least.
Okay, well, that's fine.
So welcome to you. Let's have a look at some of these. Okay, Laugh Until You Cry. Melissa, that's a dramedy. And so drama comedy. And Hayley, the comedy of chaos. There's a lot of humor coming in here. Sounds depressing, says Rhonda, but I think mine would be I Survived, like Gloria Gaynor. That could be uplifting too. Lindsay, memoir, because I'm a pretend Joan Didion. My Life in 12 Dresses.
That's great.
It is great. Elizabeth Walton. Hi, Elizabeth. My Life Lost in Space as an Alien Cipher Crazy Childless Cat Lady. Lizzie, hold on to that. I think that's gold. These are fantastic. And Life as I See It, comedy. Nicola, No Apparent Reason, speculative fiction, thriller, and romance. Love these. Old Things as New. Lindsay says hers is also an imagined family history based on real people. Okay. Well, that makes it kind of really poignant. Veronica, Don't Look Now. Tragicomedy. Life is a tragicomedy, isn't it? Melissa, this is like therapy, isn't it? Melissa's giving some tech support. They were fantastic. I think what's also really interesting as readers is take notice of the stories that you read, the people that you connect to, and why you're interested in them. And if you are interested in exploring some writing yourself, there might be a crossover in terms of the characters you want to explore. Now, why does it sometimes feel so hard? And there's a bit of science in this. And I find this really helpful. It helps me understand the term writer's block, which I think we give too much attention to, if you like. But I have seen in my classroom enormous changes and developments in students once they understand that when they're thinking about the beginning of a story, quite often, so we have the left side of the brain that is quite analytical. There's a very sexist term. It was referred to as the mother's brain. You know, the why are you doing this? This is no good. The critical voice, but it's kind of in an evolutionary sense, it's the part of our brain that is part of our survival. You know, like it's a preventative or kind of cautious voice, if you like. Should you be doing this? Why are you doing it? The logic side. And then the fun side, the joyful, playful child side, of course, is the right side. And that's when you and you see that really quite active in children, don't you? So if you hear children tell a story, you know, like, and then the green monster came and ate everybody, and everyone, and the other kids go, what? You know, and they just go with it. They're not saying that's not possible, that wouldn't happen, you're making this up, this is rubbish, which is how we speak to ourselves as adults when we're being creative. But the thing is, we need both these sides of the brain at different points of the roading process. What I'm going to encourage you tonight is to shut the left brain down, put it in another room for a little while, and focus tonight on this wild creativity. This is the child brain. And then once you actually have the beginning of a story down, a poem, a chapter, if you allow that to be really raw, unstructured, not too directed, what happens is the real essence of what you want to write about is kind of it's allowed to kind of develop and evolve, if you like, in that space without any rules. And there's something more authentic about that. And once you have your story down, then you can reach out. You know, it's like a marriage. I need you now. If you can come back in, I need you now for some editing. So you bring in, you activate that logic part of your brain to then make those decisions, like, where or when do I change the structure? Am I using too much detail to explain someone walking across a room? What's my story really about? And so it's not that we should see these different parts of our thinking at war with each other, and we need both of them. But tonight, I'm encouraging you to go into the right side and have some fun. So here's a task. Don't be frightened. We're going free range, people. We're going right out in the paddock, and we're not having any rules or editing or stopping. What I want you to do is, now I'm calling this the extraordinary in the ordinary task. Find something around you right now. So it might be an object, a piece of furniture. You can use your partner if you like, but you better ask permission. A family member. You can use a pet, a piece of jewelry, anything at all. I will hold up this ring, which is a moonstone ring, and I bought it for myself at the end of a very long relationship, and I liked it because apparently this represents feminine power. And I like the shape of it, and it changes color from different angles. And I like how it's not the same all the time. You know, it sort of shifts. So find your object, and then I want you to really look at the shape of it. Maybe does it have any sound to it? I want you to feel it in your hands. If you don't have anything in front of you, you might be able to imagine it in your mind. And think about just what this means to you. Now, it's okay if it's just your mobile phone or something really basic. But what I want you to do, and we're going to do this for 10 minutes, I want you to just start writing with the right brain, free range, no rules, and let your piece take you wherever it goes. Any questions? Just let yourself write and use the object as a start, but it might end up not being about the object, and that's all right. If you could just sort of, oh my goodness, okay. We won't share yet. That's amazing, Laurie. I can't believe how much you read.
I actually ran out of room. There's only 1,000 character limit on it. I got halfway. I'm like, oh, I can't write anymore.
My goodness.
I'll have to handwrite some stuff.
I'm impressed. How did everybody go in terms of, did anyone find that they were sort of going off into something unexpected? Very yellow, says Elizabeth. Okay, was that a theme or a mood or just part of your focus, I guess, Lisbeth? Did anyone sort of change direction? Florid. Oh, yellow textures and wattle bloom. Okay, Holly went into memory. My beanbag had come alive. Rhonda, I hope that wasn't like a horror movie. Where are you, Rhonda? Oh, hello, Rhonda. I was just imagining the beanbag like The Blob. Remember that movie, The Blob? Fantastic. Poetry for me. Now, I would love to read, this is purely voluntary. I would love to read some of your pieces because there's quite a few of us. If you're amazing like Laurie and written like a short story, if you have just a section that you would be willing to share, and if you're not comfortable using the chat box, if you would prefer to read it out to us on the microphone, that's another option as well. So I'll just give everyone a few moments to post up a sample for us from your piece. Hayley, would you like to actually read yours out on the microphone?
Sure. So when I'm not actually structuring a story, I've always loved rhyming poetry, and I can just think of something and it just comes to me. So
fantastic.
I was just looking at my beautiful dog, and he's my best friend in the whole world apart from my partner and my mum. And I'm surprised he hasn't popped up in the screen yet. He probably will again. So it just came to me. I just said, his face brings me calm, his happy sunny smile. Whenever I spend time with him, I'm inclined to stay a while. He is always happy to see me. With others, it's not always so. He'll pick up on my feelings. He always seems to know. Life can be a challenge and life can be a slog. Life is always better when I'm around my dog.
Gorgeous. I think we all better give a clap.
Oh, thank you. Yep, that's just what came to me when I was looking at my dog. So, yep.
I think, Hayley, you've got some fans here. You know, the thing is with that piece is that you went straight into that beautiful connection that we have with creatures that is beyond, it transcends our human relationships very much. Yeah. And I love poetry and that form too, because I love the beat. When you have a beat, it gives words a bit of movement, a bit of vibrancy, isn't it? Yeah,
absolutely.
I love that piece. Thanks for being the first cab off the rank too.
That's all right. I'm not shy.
So folks, feel free to put your pieces into the chat box. You can do that and read them out, or just pop them in the chat box if you're willing to share. Would anyone prefer to use the microphone rather than put the...
I'm happy to.
Lindsay, you're next. Okay,
go for it. I'm happy to do that. I'm in my sort of messy workroom, and this is sitting on the windowsill.
Sorry, can you show that again, Lindsay? What is that? Is it origami?
No, it's timber. I'm going to tell you what it is.
All right.
And here's something else I need to find a home for or throw away. How much stuff can we hold on to? This is a piece of smooth blonde timber, quite thick, about 3 inches high and wide, carved into the shape of a galah or a cockatoo, wings aflutter. It was one of the many decorations I had in my children's bedrooms, Australian fauna naturally. Where I live now, I am surrounded by the live specimens, kangaroos, whales, echidnas, snakes, kookaburras, and some horrid screeching things we call the cranky birds. And in square brackets I've put, don't forget the black cockatoos and the eagles. But the children have gone too far away for Sunday lunch, and I have waited too long for the grandchildren to arrive. Who could inherit this collection? I will not be wistful or sad. I will be decisive. Rub the cockie's wooden head for good luck, give it a dust and a polish, and send it off to live with some other little people.
Oh, bravo. Lindsay, that was so heartfelt, and also I could really see the right brain was just allowing you to be really playful there with the feelings, the memories, the emotions, and it was all coming from that object. And it's amazing, isn't it? Just what's contained in these things in our surroundings. I love the way you shape that, and I love the way you read that to us, and all the pauses and the spaces, because they're really important in guiding the reader to those important places. Absolutely gorgeous. Thank you. I'm gonna go back to Laurie's piece, because I reckon we'll need half an hour. Would you like to read it out to us?
I can. It's very meandering, which is usually how my writing goes as well. So the coffee in my mug has gone cold. I didn't notice. I took a sip and ugh, what a horrid taste. Not at all was what I was expecting when I put the edge of the ceramic to my lips. A bit like life, isn't it? That old coffee mug. Not what I expected. I suppose it doesn't have to be bad. I mean, people like cold coffee. I certainly do in summer. I think it is the breaking of my expectation that was so shocking. The way life pops up challenges out of nowhere when you are not prepared. The way my taste buds were not prepared. So what is my lesson in this? Do I learn from it and prepare for cold coffee? After all, I do get distracted. In fact, perhaps I should be aware of the possibility. And now I want something different, a different taste. Wine would be fabulous, or a hot chocolate. But then that would meet my expectations and I would be prepared for the potential outcomes. Of course, if I had a glass, I would know what the inside holds, or by the smell. We can't have everything, I suppose.
Fantastic. Laurie took us into the interior voice. There was a very personal connection. What else? Holly's nodding away. Holly, when you were hearing Laurie read that, what was connecting you to that?
Very much the way that one thought in your head jumps towards other things.
Yeah.
There's very rarely one straight road. It jumps around.
And that's how we think, isn't it? I think. Yeah. Also, I love all the subtle metaphors. I think you've done it in a very natural way, Laurie.
Thank you.
The writer Raymond Carver, he loved to always write about domestic things, because he always said, and he was influenced by Chekhov, he always said, sometimes it can be the sound of a fridge, have something quite magical about it, or it can be loneliness, so there's so many things we miss in the everyday, and I feel like you're digging into those things and giving them a bit of focus, but it almost got a bit existential. I don't know how you did that.
Yeah, coffee does that.
I don't know how you did that in 10 minutes, but it was very, very clever.
Thank you.
Thank you. Holly, would you like to read yours?
So I just do an excerpt because it's... Yeah, I don't want to take the time from other people. I started talking about a painting of some flowers, and it hung on the same wall for years. Maybe it moved from one side of the cabinet to the other. I don't remember when Heather painted it, but I know it was a gift, as in she did it specifically for Mum, because Mum loved the toad flax, and sometimes some grew in the side garden before the weeds took over. They've taken over the whole garden now. She probably painted it from life. She did that as a job, botanical paintings, and she is so good. I wonder if she could still draws and paints. The last time I spoke to her, she had to retire early from the paper restoration job she loved due to arthritis and crippling her. The daily demanding pain in her spine and hands. I'm going to edit a little bit as I go. She taught us how to make a book once when we were kids, cutting the paper, stitching the binding, adding the marbled end papers and the cloth spine. I still have that book, and I've never used it. No, nothing has ever seemed worthy of being written on its pages.
Wow, Holly, that was very beautiful.
Thank you.
You've got some applause there from people. There were very tender moments, weren't there? Holly took us into some very precious memories, exchanges. reflections of time, thinking about how sometimes these moments stay with us forever, these images, these feelings, and so forth. And I love that your mother's drawings and the delicacy of that was kind of like an extension of her. It was so beautiful. Thank you very much. Okay, folks, I'd like to, if you've got just keeping an eye on time, because I could spend hours listening to all of you, but even if you can just sort of, if you've got a longer piece, maybe just give us a shorter section. Elizabeth, would you like to read yours?
Yes, hello.
Hello.
Hello. I haven't got my camera on because I'm actually sitting in the dark and my battery's about to go flat.
Okay. Oh no, quick.
Okay. Water vase, floating, spiking little puffs of wattle. Above old pens, the mellow yellow, the robin-breasted yellow, slightly feathered, the payslip yellow, stale and old. Every cylindrical element drawing out the water into the plastic realm, the ink round, pliable and soft, so hard to see, at times almost invisible, which was the reason they piled on top of the tablecloth, a gathering of yellow under the water in the vase, all of them useless, unused, as a crate of paper drooped in water, parched, indelible, irrelevant, looking for an excuse to be more fully, irrevocably turfed.
Wow.
It's amazing.
That was really poetic, wasn't it? I'm going to ask the panel of experts, everybody, what's something in there that you think is really strength, or, you know, that really sort of jumps out for you? Lindsay, what's your next book, Elizabeth?
That's funny.
I love the texture in it, Rachel. It's beautifully visceral, isn't it? The language. Yeah, you can feel it and see it and smell it, and yeah.
I was going to say you can really see the flower fading.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, and there you have the magic of the right brain, folks. Yeah, I give you Elizabeth's right brain in all its glory. It was absolutely gorgeous. Would anyone else like to? I can't see any more on the screen.
So Susan mentioned she would, and so did who else? There was also Rhonda. Yep.
Yes, absolutely.
And I'd do it this time.
Fran, would you like to as well? Excellent. All right, let's start with Susan.
Unmute, is that right?
Yes, we can hear you. Hello.
All right. Okay. Oh, yeah. Very good. All right. It's about this, what I'm wearing. I asked my mother how many balls of wool would I need to make a jumper for me. Continued to say as she sipped her tea, thinking hard, she sipped again. No idea, she said, and sipped again. But as annoying as children can be, I wasn't going to let her unsatisfactory answer rest there. I wanted a real answer, a calculation, an estimation. Mothers know these things, don't they? Mothers do, don't they? There was a time when my mother knew everything and anything. I don't remember exactly when my mother stopped knowing all things, but I asked her again, how big could I knit from one ball of wool? Depends on how thick the wool is, she said. If the wool was 5 ply, the length of wool ball would be longer, so you could make a bigger jumper. Expressing, so a bit scribbly here. If the wool was thicker, say 8 ply, she continued to say, then you could knit a smaller jumper. Didn't make sense. I wasn't understanding. And as mothers do, she saw my puzzled expression on my face. Mothers can see inside their children's souls, can't they? As far as I got.
Wow. Okay.
Bit of a muck up in the middle there, but yeah. Getting it.
Susan, I love the shape and the movement and the I think the motivation or the whatever was directing you there was very authentic. I'm not articulating myself. Anyone else comments for Susan's piece? What stood out for you? What was a key thing that made it very real for you? Maggie's talking about the repetitions, like Blake. There's a compliment. Great closing line, said Holly and Elizabeth as well. Maggie's point about repetition is really key. Susan, repetition is not an easy device to use in writing, and it's often overly used or used badly. But we're giving you the gold stamp for you are the repetition queen. Anne's talking about the last line and the mother theme. So, Susan, these things that mean something to you, they mean something to us as your reader. Use that in your story and you will never be wrong. You'll never be off track. It's when we try to write like someone else or sound like someone else that everything becomes hard and labored. I just think you write what matters to you and you'll never get off track, if you like. Fantastic. Rhonda.
Yep,
Yeah,
good.
gotcha.
You could hear, yeah, sorry. This strange hand kept coming up. Okay, so this is the beanbag. So this is just a small bit. It is full of memories. A grandson sprawled, cat wedged in adoration beside him, spilt popcorn, and reminiscent of countless movies we watched together. The characters flashing in memory, heroes and goblins. I drew it once and put a gigantic eye in the side, sleepy and content, because that's the expression a beanbag would have. It is peace incarnate.
Gorgeous.
Mm.
Beanbags they look like a person after a while, don't they? Like they're part of your family. What did everybody enjoy about Rhonda's piece then?
I loved the cat in adoration.
Yeah, good.
You know, and that popcorn, you know, it's like as you were saying, Rachel, the messy bits, the Raymond Carver, the popcorn scattered everywhere. You can really see that, can't you? See and smell it.
Right. What about when one bursts as well? That's a whole other story, isn't it?
Mm.
Muriel.
Also, everybody would have heard Rhonda, you're almost making a really loose list of things. So what happens then, you know, that's actually the freedom of going right into the playful part of storytelling. And from there, you can create a whole scene or a chapter. You know, you can use that as a starting point, if you like. Rhonda's talking about... it's well, it could be a horror story. Anne's talking about reference to family movies and heroes and the cat. Melissa liked how it started with the grandson, the goblins, the heroes, and the eye of the beanbag, like the eye of the storm or the evil eye. Yeah, very, very clever. How good are these, Veronica and Laurie? I feel like
really good.
I feel we're
I think it's an anthology of short pieces, you know.
I think
flash fiction lady.
Everyone's so good.
Everyone's so good. I know. Hold on to these pieces, folks. We might have an ABL anthology. Just saying.
Absolutely.
Yes. Who else would like to read theirs out or pop it in the chat box?
I think we had Fran and Maggie were both on that list.
And Rosemary. And Nicola?
Yeah, we're also just conscious of the time.
I know. What I'll ask folks is if you've got quite a long piece, if you can maybe just read a small section of it, that'd be good. I'm sorry, because we are falling behind and we do need a break. Okay, so let's go, Fran.
I'll read an excerpt from it. I wear hearing aids. Even the term makes me feel elderly, frail, and in need of support. Actually, though, my hearing aids were earned. As a teenager, I craved loudness, the kind of sound that reverberated against my bones and set my blood running. Bat out of hell on full blast, resting my head against the speaker, singing my lungs out and feeling the tears of terror turn into a shout of power and rebellion. I wear hearing aids now, but my life is different. These days I take them out and sit in the silence.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Fran, I think I've lost the words. That was incredible, wasn't that, folks? And did you really just write that in 10 minutes? Because I'm like, I'm really intimidated by that brilliance. Fran, thank you for also that privilege of sharing that with us in such a personal, experience. There's so much power in that. I love the structure. I love the voice. Can you see everyone's comments? Bat out of hell. I felt like I was back in Shepparton, the poetry, the beauty, but most of all, Fran, the honesty, the vulnerability, and that's the power of it. Please do something with this. Send it in. I would say this to all of you. This could be, something to really to look at, to submit somewhere, or and again, I say that to all of you. Fran, bravo. Okay. Thank you. Nicola.
I stole a word. I started to reach for a moonstone necklace sent to me by my sister, a tessellated reminder of the complexity of sisterly relationships. But in the box, I found 2 rings, a promise gift and a deserted wedding band. And my focus shifted sideways. He came with 2 kids, and I was instantly aware of how they had no power over who their father had brought into their world. I remember vividly 2 wide sets of blue eyes framed by curly lashes, just like their father's, and hopeful, trepidatious faces. They'd been told I was smart. They asked question after question as we rode back from Tullamarine Airport, where I'd been picked up. How long is the life cycle of a cicada? What's the second tallest mountain on the planet? How many times per minute does your heart beat?
Oh my goodness. I feel like we just stepped into a big treasure chest, Veronica and Laurie, haven't we? Nicola, the beats and the rhythms that were not even noticeable, but yet were part of it. The beautiful play with language, your unusual way of kind of spinning language so that we're coming inside out. And I remember because of your piece that got second prize in the Society of Women's competition. Also, there's a quiet command. Can you see everyone's comments as well, Nicola? Coming through, the poignancy, the tension, the disappointment. Absolutely wonderful. Yes, so hang on to these folks, because I've got some ideas I've got to talk to Veronica and Laurie about. My head's buzzing. Okay, before we have a break now, Rosemary, was it you as well that wanted to share?
One day, as I wandered around an antique shop, my eyes fell upon a blue and white trio, a cup, saucer, and plate. It was blue and white in the well-known willow pattern. A part of my heart insisted on purchasing the trio and taking it home. I only knew consciously that it had connected strongly with my heart. It was only when a few years later, though, an illumination in my heart revealed to me that a dear lady who lived next door to my childhood home used to have this very dinner set. This realization began to unfold to me just what our neighbour had meant to me. She was someone who freely expressed her love to me. She saw me and invited me to be known in ways that very few others had done. Her qualities were some which I have yearned to embody, and that was as far as I got.
Oh, Rosemary, I feel like you pulled us down and down and down and down into this incredible kind of like a pool of tenderness and memory. But also, I love the dreamy feel of that. And then it was the neighbor's tea set, and it was something that had stolen your heart, and it was conscious and unconscious, and it was the past and it was the present. I love the way you read that. People are saying that they love the connection, the then and now. And isn't it amazing, Rosemary, that it comes from an object?
Yeah, exactly.
Truly beautiful. Truly beautiful. Thank you so much. Do we have one more? Do we have Maggie?
Here I am. And this is what my piece is about.
That's gorgeous.
So, and it's florid. I took you at your word, and bright brain it is. oyster shell shaped powder compact, gold rimmed, gleaming, midnight sky blue, evenly dotted with stars in a constellation unknown to human eye. At the centre is a nebula of pyrites set in pewter, never hewn from Olympian realms, yet shaped as a Grecian urn, brimming cornucopia-like, with leaves, fruits, buds and tassels. The exquisite gift to my mother on her 21st birthday, presented by whom? The very generous donor unknown. The quality of their gift, a clue to the value my young mother was held in.
Maggie, that was extraordinary. I can hear the love of language. Your love of language is a quality, is a feature in your writing, and that's what we enjoy when a writer really enjoys that indulgence. But also, this is your mother, and then I love all the historic kind of references. It was almost like you were kind of showing us the is it a brooch kind of for
No, it's actually a compact.
It's a compact mirror. Yeah, but I thought you were sort of turning it upside down, and then you were taking us out into this timeless feel and the beauty of it. But also, it was your mother's 21st gift. It was the most important connection of all. Folks, wasn't that true? I'm just, Veronica and Laurie, I am just blown away. I mean that sincerely, because I sit in a lot of writing classrooms all the time, and I think you're all very, very talented. Incredible. But also, I will say that it is part of letting go. And this is actually what can happen. What you've just done now, I would encourage you to do this when you're starting a story. And what I mean is, see if you can take away the rules for yourself to begin with. And just sort of allow yourself to go with a feeling, an image, and kind of let that dictate for a while. Now, we've only got half an hour left, and I just want to encourage people to just stand up for a moment, or I don't know, just get a glass of water, and we should have. I saw it was
Take 5. Yes.
I saw Richard Simmons passed away the other day, and I remember he was such a ball of
he was,
wasn't he?
Yes.
And Emmy's just popped in while we're having a stretch. We're going to have a look at Emmy's NAB pen. Light oval, black and red, reliable but needs pressing, glides, slides, smooth, but it has no smell. It can be light, but it can be heavy, and it makes some noise. It sounds like the corporate world, Emmy. Sometimes it can be heavy. It has no smell. It has no light. I love all the metaphors in there. So good, so good. Thanks for sharing all those. I actually felt really privileged to be in your space then. Now, again, I might start talking a little bit quickly, but it's only because I want us to get through our next slides, which I have just lost. Another thing that's really key, folks, in storytelling, and I've heard a lot of this from you tonight, is characters. I really think that, Veronica, can you see this screen okay with me? Yep, okay. Characters drive strong fiction, I think. Sometimes I feel like we need to allow our characters to tell us who they are, and for us, like a friendship, for us to get to know who they are. Veronica, would you mind reading this? This is from Never Look Desperate, and this is Min, one of my central characters.
Min had wanted to have a child. It had almost happened once, but her body said no. During her 40s, she'd explored local sperm donors, surrogates, and the adoption of a baby from Hungary, but it felt too hard to be doing it alone. In high school, she stayed away from boys. She refused to take part in the local debutante ball. Her stepfather asked if she liked girls and said a prayer for her. As they closed their eyes in front of crumbed cutlets one evening, he asked Satan to leave her heart. Now, at 54, Min desired intimacy, but she didn't do one-night stands or casual hookups with strangers. Instead, she went running at night. What she missed in her long break from relationships was a hand clutching her own, an embrace, the warmth of skin. Billy stood up on two legs as Min moved around the kitchen. "Dance, baby," she said, and put some biscuits into a bowl. She pressed a fingertip against a photo on her fridge of Petra, her sponsor child from Uruguay. The girl's face was thin, her smile wide. She wore a white sundress and stood beside a thatched hut. Min had been writing to Petra for over a year now. Her last sponsored child had died from pneumonia. Min had sent the family a little gold box with copies of all the letters they'd exchanged. "Here we go again," she whispered as she walked into her bedroom. Online dating was like paying the electricity. She had to do it, otherwise things would turn off.
Thanks, Veronica. I just want to say something very quickly about where Min came from and why she meant so much to me. I guess I wanted to give a voice for a woman in midlife who had a very fulfilling and meaningful life, who had not had children, who would like to have had children, but that didn't happen, and her life went in other directions. And I feel like as a society, we do not celebrate the wonderful ways in which women contribute to the world in many ways. And that there are very narrow ideas about what is meaningful, you know, in terms of a woman and her place in the world. So I guess Min, for me, was a voice for that. On top of that, Min also has the complicated question around where she fits in the world. You know, her family had arrived here by boat, you know, during the Vietnam War. She lost her father on that trip. She has people saying to her at times, "Are you Australian?" And all these really dreadful kind of labels about who she is and what her place is in the world. But I also wanted to show that there was also at times a sadness about things that she had wanted in her life. But also, and also, I wanted to talk about relationships that happen at all stages of life and how we are all the same. And so through Min, I let her speak to me. But I think she was also speaking the voices of people I know, my own experiences, and I guess I just had to get to know her, if that makes sense. Now, in this slide, this is all about, and we're not going to spend too long on this because it's 8:39, unfortunately. But Veronica, I'll make sure that people can have a copy of these if they want to have a read. I will say one thing about voice, and I have heard the voice of a lot of you tonight. Your wonderful, real and honest and heart-centered storytelling. Rochelle Gardner, who is a literary agent, always says that voice is not just the way you use sentences. It may not be just the beautiful command you have of language or the way you can paint a picture somewhere. It's a collection of you. She says here, it's not a technique and it's not a brand. And she says that we are all influenced all the time by everything we see and everything we read and everything we experience. And what I would say to all of you, and I've heard this in your pieces tonight, is that there is nothing that has not been written about before, but nobody has written about it like you. One time when I asked a publisher from text publishing, and you know, what do you look for when you have all this slush pile come in and all the manuscripts? And she said, we just want a story with heart, and we want it to be real, and we want it to go into the hard places, the things that people can't talk about. And as it says here, and she says, how do we find our voice? Well, it's not something you can really learn or study. You have to kind of dig in. She says in the next place, the only place to find it is within you. Peeling away the layers of your false self, you're trying to be something you're not self, your copycat self, you're trying to sound a certain way self, I've spent my life watching Netflix self. And she says it's like going to psychotherapy and delving in deep. But it's also kind of exciting and liberating when we're able to do that. And I just saw that in all of you before. I won't go into this information, but you can have access to all these slides and have a closer read. But the writing industry is tough. Yes, I mean, I won't lie about that. However, it's really good to educate ourselves about what publishers publish, or perhaps you want to step into the new exciting opportunities for self-publishing. Publishing is changing a great deal, and I know authors more and more are looking to taking charge of their own publishing. And I know that Veronica and Laurie have a lot of experience in that. And it's exciting, actually, that authors are having a lot more control, especially through the new technologies. Crime is still huge, folks. Excuse me. That's where the money is. But I also know that speculative fiction and memoirs are popular. Fantasy is still popular. There's a point here about February and March are the times when you should submit a manuscript, because publishers have empty lists at that stage of the year. It makes sense that later in the year their lists are quite full. Know who you're publishing to, do your research, and so on. Excuse me. So, and another thing too that I think is really helpful for all kinds of creative writing is to read poetry. And I've heard a few poets tonight and a few people who are interested in poetry. But poetry to me teaches us about how words do their work, how I call them worker words, like worker bees, where words kind of spark each other and bump up against each other. And poetry reminds us to be playful. Would anyone like to read this beautiful poem by Maya Angelou?
Pretty women wonder where my secret lies. I'm not cute or built to suit a fashion's model size, but when I start to tell them, they think I'm telling lies. I say it's in my reach of my arms, the span of my hips, the stride of my step, the curl of my lips. I'm a woman, phenomenal woman, that's me.
Thanks, Hayley. And I say bravo to this poem. And
love it.
It's coming from Maya Angelou's, her strength. If you've never seen or had a look at Maya Angelou's writing, I really encourage you to do so. There's another beautiful spoken poem called, well, it's powerful. It's called And I Rise. And she writes a lot about oppression and slavery, and about rising above the things that control us and that hold us back. And I just love the beauty of that. Have a look at poetry around you that maybe you've never looked at before. And some people say that they see poetry in text messages. I don't know about you, but mine might say, have you fed the cat? I can't find much magic in that. I'm not sure. Let's have a final task. Is it time for this, Laurie? Just very quickly?
Really quickly, because we've got a giveaway as well. Don't forget.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to cut the time right down.
Okay.
You've got a budgie called Pirate, a Dolly Parton song, and a shiny silver knife. Go for it. Just start writing. Use any of those.
You're going to think this is hilarious. We've been listening to Dolly Parton here all night.
Have you?
There's a Dolly Parton music station.
Is that true? Okay.
Sorry, just weird.
That's spooky. That's spooky. So with this one, folks, one sentence only. And it's hard for people who write a lot. One sentence only. And if we can pop them in the chat box, preferably, that would be good. Elizabeth, she sobbed after stabbing her favourite. Oh, no. Elizabeth, did you have to go there? Stabbing her favourite blue baby. I'm sorry, she said. And the pirate flew on the next realm, working the bee 9 to 5. Oh, it's very dark, Elizabeth. But kind of funny and wrong all at once. Love it. Laurie. Off the screen.
She won't stop singing Dolly Parton songs. My God, who taught her that? And how do I make her stop?
Oh, the agony. I love that, Laurie, because straight away everyone's going, oh. Instant atmosphere. Very clever. That's having trouble with my screen. Okay.
Hayley's got Pirate the Budgie. His real name was Patch. I have no idea where this was going.
Hayley, that's the magic of it.
Yeah.
You could go anywhere with it.
Who knows?
You might write a poem, I think.
Yeah, probably.
Now,
Here's the
Elizabeth,
next
I'm
one.
not sure, but Elizabeth says, what can I say? I'm sitting in the dark.
Always in the dark.
Your question, Elizabeth.
There are so many good ones. There are so many good ones.
I know, they're so good.
Yes, so Fran, pirate warbled 9 to 5 as he strutted behind the woman, brandishing his tiny imitation of her big shiny knife. They went into the boss's office and quietly closed the door.
That is gorgeous.
So good.
Wow. Wow. We're on the edge of our seats.
Yeah, Nicola wrote, Cynthia sliced her toast neatly, cutting away the crusts as her pet budgie pirate bobbed up and down, warbling away to Dolly Parton's Here You Come Again. Melissa, straight to the heart, more like an arrow than a knife, piercing, not slicing or dicing. Very good.
I love how everyone's getting really twisted.
Yeah.
But also having a lot of fun with it. I think that's the key, isn't it?
Holly, he'd fly away if he could. He'd join the other parrots in the sky, join their voices and their swooping, sweeping, gliding freedom of flight. He'd run away to the sea, fly away to the trees. Oh, that's lovely.
Ooh, dark.
Yeah. Lindsay, the rough-looking rocker and the curvy, sexy blonde, Rod and Dolly duetting on Baby It's Cold Outside. Their voices blend and chime. She lets out that little breathy sigh. I'm not falling for that old line, fella. But of course, Rod could sing the nightingales out of the trees in Berkeley Square, so she stays.
Oh, she stays.
Yeah.
And it's all right that she stays.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I missed one, Rhonda. I once knew a budgie called Pirate who was addicted to Dolly P and could do a mean version of Jolene, melancholic and haunting.
Oh, nice.
Love it.
They're all so different, aren't they?
Mm.
Oh, folks. Is that all of them?
Hayley, I don't know if I read yours. Pirate the Budgie, his real name was Patch. I have no idea where this is going. Yep, actually, you read that one. And shiny silver knife to cut open Poseidon portal to the new world. I hope I've got everyone. If I haven't, I do apologize.
That one was quite poetic, wasn't it?
There's some great ones.
You are all very talented. Is there anyone that just like to quickly read the one sentence because you might not have been able to get it on screen?
No, but a 4-line poem about the budgie just popped into my head. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah, go for it. Quick for it.
I was just scribbling it down. So a budgie called Pirate, on a shoulder he did sit. He was a cheeky little bugger. His personality did fit.
Oh, I thought you were going naughty there, but well done.
No. About the tray at the bottom. That's right.
There you go. That just popped into my head.
Well done. Hayley.
Oh, folks, before I hand you back over to Laurie and to Veronica, look, these are just a few things that I think are really helpful if you are beginning your writing adventure. And check out, I know if you're in New South Wales, in every state, there are, writer centres. Writers Victoria, fantastic in Melbourne. And also look for the journals that are kind of connected in your state. I know in Victoria, Overland and The Big Issue are always looking and supporting, new writers. There's a few books I really like on writing. One is Stephen King's book. And I also love a book by Lee Kaufman as well. Be careful about that critical voice. Use the senses all the time. Use the body. You don't have to explain everything in a story either. See if you can set up a workshop group on Zoom like this if it's hard for you to get out. Write about the hard things. Write about being human. The scary stuff sometimes, is what people really want to read. Go into those spaces where at some, the silence at the dinner table kind of topics. It's hard to write about sexuality and intimacy, but it's part of who we are and the air that we breathe. And don't stop. This is a lifelong craft. Also, keep an eye out. I've really loved this Zoom experience of Readers are Writers, and I'd hope to come back and do it again sometime. If you're in Melbourne, we've got a workshop coming up in the East Melbourne Library, and that's a free event for everybody. Also, just on the right, what does writing teach us? Ray Bradbury, the wonderful short story writer, says that it's really about being alive and the wonder and the privilege of that. And Ursula Le Guin says that fiction, poetry, and stories cleanses the doors of our perception, and I believe it liberates us as well. So, what can I say? I am quite speechless. I am totally in awe of all of you. I hope that this might spark some writing for you. I hope you can reach out to other people. We need our writing buddies. We really do. And thank you for having me.
Thank you, Rachel. That was amazing.
Absolutely brilliant. And I'm sure that we'll have you again. Can I just say thank you also to everybody for contributing, for just putting yourselves out there, letting your brains be open and just sharing with this group of people. Some of you may know each other, but otherwise just writers sharing was fantastic. Thank you.
It's not an easy thing to do.
It's not, but it's just you are really good at unlocking and creating that lovely safe space, Rachel. So thank you for that.
My pleasure.
Can I just say also, if anybody is in Sydney on Sunday, thank you. Sydney Authors Inc., which is the reason I'm up here in Sydney, have asked me to come and chat to, the lovely people at Sydney's Authors Inc. Maria Piferino is going to do the chatting. Hopefully we'll get a word in edgeways, I think. But I'll be talking all things, books and podcasting and publishing. So come along for a free chat if you have.
Don't give away all the dirty secrets, though.
Oh, right. So, it's magic. Laurie
Yes.
and I have trained for years, as you can see, to do this. But we do want to reward people for being here this evening. And thanks to Rachel's publisher, the lovely Transit Lounge, I've got 3 books to give away. Now, I've only got one with me because this is actually, good, Laurie's going to bring the slide up. Excellent. I thought here's what we prepared earlier.
Yep.
So we've got a copy of Never Look Desperate. Yes. And as you know, Never Look Desperate is Sedaris Meets Fleabag, a dark tragicomedy romance set in Melbourne in 2023 about love and intimacy in later life, midlife, Tinder, and isolation. It features, wait for it, cremation bling, pineapple underwear, grief, and vaccinated cruise ships. The central characters, Bernard, Goldie, and Min, are everything TED Talks tell you not to be. The story tackles the absurdity of despair in a recovering world, the liberation from isolation, and the wild frontier of middle-aged Tinder. So while I'm reading the next 2 blurbs, All You Took From Me and Beam of Light, Laurie is getting onto the fabulous little app that we've got, putting all the names in of everybody that's submitted. But if they're not here tonight, we'll spin again. And then we'll ask you to email me your address and I'll post it out to you. The second book is from an absolutely fabulous woman, Lisa Kenway. Lisa's an anaesthetist up here in New South Wales, and she's written this brilliant psychological thriller, which is just scary, set between the Blue Mountains and a Sydney hospital. All You Took From Me is a thriller brimming with great characters and nail-biting tension. Anaesthetist Claire Carpenter has just lost her husband and her memory in a single vehicle accident. So why is a stranger following her? After questioning patients about their dreams, she becomes convinced that an anesthetic drug might help her access missing memories. But there's no way to be certain without jeopardizing her career or her life. As unexplained threats escalate, Claire realizes she must take matters into her own hands to earn the uncomfortable truth about her secretive husband, his connection to a mysterious club, and what she did to trigger a stranger's crusade for vengeance. But how far will she go? Oh, and the third one is a book of stories by John Kinsella called Beam of Light. Shifts in tone, setting, and narration create a sense of the uncanny in Beam of Light. It's a haunting collection of stories. A man is disturbed by the sight of a familiar dining table and chairs atop an impending bonfire of bulldozed trees. A girl finds a fox skeleton and feels compelled to protect its spirit by dispersing its bones over the valley. A couple are invited to dinner by Christians new to town, an occasion that quickly turns heavy and strange. 2 men awkwardly meet again when their daughters attend the same ballet class, and a man and woman struggle to balance the threats of addiction and poverty with the joys and hopes of a new baby. So stories range in location from Ireland to Germany to Greece to the Australian countryside. Threatened by catastrophic heat, land clearing, housing, estates and strip malls, and Kinsella's characters, so often on the edge, sear the consciousness. All right, so those are your 3 books, and Laurie's been spinning.
Yes.
And yes, can I also just say that as we have your email addresses, and a number of you asked to be put on mailing lists, so unless you email me admin@australianbooklovers.com, I'm really happy to, if you want to share your emails with Rachel as part of her ongoing gathering of all her writers for Readers Are Writers. Yes. And I'll put you on the Australian Book Lovers, and you can be in the running for more free books. You can always unsubscribe at any time. All right, that's my spiel. Laurie.
Okay, do you want names? Names now?
Names.
Fantastic. So I have, Maggie.
So Maggie, yours.
Maggie, I think you're there.
Yes, I am.
Which would you like?
Actually, I love a mystery, so I'm really thrilled. I'll have the Lisa Kenway one, please.
Beautiful. Or you took from me. Yep.
All right. We also have Marie.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, Marie.
Okay, Marie, which one for you?
Could I have Beam of Light, please?
Yes.
How thrilling. Thank you.
And finally, we've got Elizabeth.
Guess what? I've already got
you've
the
already
book.
got the book.
Oh, you've already got the book. All right. You know what?
I'm doing another dial for that one, and we're going to give you something else.
We'll give you something else,
Oh,
Elizabeth.
yeah.
What's your favourite genre, Elizabeth?
Oh, everything.
All right, I've got a pile of
Beam of Light as well. I'd love to read Beam of Light too, or even and Lisa's as well. Both of them are, yeah, I'd love to.
No worries. Okay.
Right. So I've just hit dial on my number generator here. So Louise, did we have a Louise in today? I don't know if I heard from Louise. Was she here? Oh, well, I guess Louise is getting our last fabulous book.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
I think that's everyone. Is that everyone?
Beautiful.
Veronica, do you mind if I just quickly also ask people whether they give me permission to use I've been taking some lovely screenshots of your gorgeous faces tonight, and whether if anyone is not comfortable, please let me know, or if you could reach out to Veronica or even now in the chat box. I'm asking if I can put you in my collection, my gallery of Readers and Writers community, which means that, you might be popping up here and there. So, but I need to just check that that's okay with people. Otherwise, I could put a budgie face on your face. Or Dolly Parton.
Works. So can I just confirm? I need people's postal address because these are paperbacks.
Oh yes.
So send me rather than sharing with everybody, send me admin@australianbooklovers.com. Please send me your postal address. And so I've got Maggie, Marie, Elizabeth. We'll find something for. And who was the last one? I missed.
Louise.
Louise. All right. Lovely. Beautiful.
Woohoo!
Fantastic.
Well, we might have got to the end of our evening, Veronica.
We have, and look, we're pretty good. It's 9:02. Thank you very much. This will be a podcast, so you will hear some chitter chatter. And thank you for mentioning. If anybody again doesn't want their image there, we can do a blurry or pop up. I like the idea of a silver dagger on the crime writer.
Yes.
But you can also hear us chatting to Rachel and Michael Fitzgerald in an early episode of the podcast. And Michael, his book Late, about the fabulous actress who shall remain nameless, but whose name starts with Marilyn. Rachel get into some really good discussion. So if you'd love to hear some more word nerd rubbish gathering, Laurie and I talk to writers from all over Australia, and we do get a little bit excited about words. So please jump on there. If you want to support us, you can. And we would love to see your writing in the future. We list Australian authored books for free, and it's free to come on the podcast, which is why there's a big long waiting list, but we try and get as many people on as we can. Thank you so much for your time. Good luck with your writing, and good night, everybody.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Bye.
meet again, where magic happens.